Let's go on a whistle-stop tour through Dorico. I'm double-clicking my Dorico icon, and here's the splash screen, which shows I'm running Dorico Pro. If you're running SE or Elements, that's fine, this course will still mostly apply to you, but you may see some differences in these categories here, and the templates that they contain. So I've got recent projects at the top, which are projects I've been working on. I've got links to the news, the video tutorials, the user forum, and downloads. And then these categories I already mentioned contain templates. Templates are just a quick way of starting with a preset instrumentation. There's also a new empty projects button at the bottom that will give you a blank canvas. Anyway, I'm going to go for a recent project and just double click to open one of mine. Dorico splits the workflow into 5 modes. Setup mode, which is where you choose your instrumentation and organize your project. Write mode, which is where you'll probably spend most of your time. It's where you write music and modify it semantically. I'm going to skip engrave mode for a sec. Play mode gives you a piano roll editor, and you can assign different VSTs for playback. You can also adjust humanization of playback, and so on. Print mode is where you print your music. It's also where Dorico handles exporting sheet music, maybe as PDFs. I skipped engrave mode, which is where you fine-tune the graphical details of what your music looks like. Engrave mode is the expensive one. If you're running SE or Elements, you won't have engrave mode. So back in write mode, there's this drop-down which you can use to view different layouts, which are your score and your parts. Let me select cello, and we'll see the view change. Okay, I'm going back to full score. You can see I've only got this one full score tab at the moment, but I could add another tab with this plus button, and then select either one of the recent layouts, or there's a complete list underneath, and you can just double click. And maybe let's have a tab for the violin 1 part as well. You can drag these tabs around. You can also drag a tab off the bar, and it'll open as a separate window, which can be really handy sometimes. Let me close this. And then if you want to hide the tabs altogether, you can just click this icon in the middle. So moving along to the right, I've got this video button, which won't do anything except bring up a black screen because I'm not writing for film here. Let me close that. And then we've got the mixer, which does what you expect. You can pull faders up and down. You can also set mute and solo states. And then I've got a pretty standard transport bar, which I can pop out with this icon. And if you click on the timecode, it'll show frames or hide those. There's a playhead in Dorico. I can bring that back to the beginning. I can play from a selection or from a playhead position. That's kind of pretty standard. Let me go back to this full score tab. So at the bottom, I'm going to come back to this 8th note. I've got a status bar, which will tell me stuff about what I've got selected. At the moment, I've got nothing selected. If I click on a note, we'll see that it tells me that I'm in bar 9. The note is A4, and it's in upstem voice 1, which is a specific voice. I'm going to leave these selection tools, but then I've got these different ways of viewing the pages. So at the moment, I've got horizontal spreads. So it's giving me page 1 on its own, then turn the page, then page 2 and 3. This is a really handy view for looking through page turns, finding page turns for your players. But you can view these vertically as well. And you can have scrolling single pages and vertical single pages. And then there's a whole host of zoom options. There's a pop-up menu here, and you can set your own custom zoom. And there are also zoom in and out buttons. Now these panels, left, bottom, and right, do different things in different modes. So I'm going to come back to them in more detail later. It's worth knowing that they have these disclosure arrows so you can hide them and show them at will. You can also hide them all using this toggle at the top. So that's kind of it for basic panels and toolbars. Next, let's look at keyboard shortcuts.